Guten Tag, IB Econ. This is Mr. Liniger. It's Thursday or Friday. I'm not here right now. I'm in Austin. I have this video for you. You are to take notes over the PowerPoint slides. I also will just have the PowerPoint posted. There also are some graphing questions which you will need to do on a lined piece of paper, which will turn into the substitute. Lastly, there are some activities on Schoology which you'll complete. Remember, I do grade these stuff, so make sure you turn in the lined piece of paper with the graphing. Make sure you complete all the activities in Schoology and the real world example. But we're just going to go over it all right here. But before we get started, let's start off with a daily punishment, which is a pun on a pun. How many economists does it take to change a light bulb? None. If the light bulb needed changing, the market would have already done it. It's a pun on free market. Oh, you guys will get it. Or you won't. All right. So the first thing I want you to do is there's a little warm-up question. You're going to draw three PPCs right here. I need you to get out a lined piece of paper. For the lined piece of paper, you are going to draw these three production possibility curves. Don't turn it in right after this because we're going to do some more practice questions throughout this video. So for the lined piece of paper, for the PPCs, you're going to have hats on one axis and popcorn on another. Here are the three PPCs right here. Number one is there's a record heat because of global warming. Number two is Netflix is created. And number three is there's an increase of human capital because of funding, increased funding for education. For each one of these PPCs, you're going to either draw a movement on the line or a shift. It could be parallel or non-parallel. So from last class, we went over PPCs. You're going to do that right now. So you should have three graphs for each one of these. All of them will be labeled the same, but there'll be different things happening on each one. So do that right now. You could pause the video. I could sing for you while you're drawing the graphs. Da na 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 na. Okay, I'm done. Just pause the video. We're gonna get started in a second. All right, so this will be the first thing you do. Like I said here, you're going to be using a lined piece of paper to draw these graphs. You'll turn it into the sub at the end of the period. Make sure you write your name on lined paper, duh. You're also going to use this same piece of paper to do some more graphs throughout this PowerPoint. All right, so here's your homework for next class. You're going to read pages 13 to 17, and you'll also show me the notes that were due today, which was pages 7 through 12 and 216 to 218. Also, finish up any of the stuff you missed on Schoology. You have the whole period to do this, though. Like, you should have all the stuff done. You should not have you should not have missed any of the stuff on Schoology. So you'll show me the notes from today and the notes from next class. So today we're going to go over the basic precepts of economics as a social science, and we're going to review the circular flow model. Our conceptual understanding is economic well-being. Our theory of knowledge connection is it possible to use economics objectively? Dun, dun, dun. So we're going to first start about economics as a social science. The father of economics was Adam Smith. He was from the 18th century. He wrote the book, The Wealth of Nations, an inquiry to the wealth of nations in 1776. Same year as Declaration of Independence. He's going to advocate for free trade and laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is a French word which means hands off, so minimal government intervention. He uses an analogy of the invisible hand, that there will be the invisible hand, which is basically supply and demand, which will guide the economy through, So like if there's a surplus or a shortage. So because of this, he did not think there needed to be government intervention for a lot of economic aspects of the economy. He also really, for him, the whole idea of capitalism, and he's the father of capitalism, he came up with the idea of capitalism, minimal government involvement. The whole idea of capitalism is contingent upon the idea people are self-interested. So if people are going to pursue their self-interest, they're going to try to make profit. If they're not selling something, they're going to lower their prices for this. In his idea, which will also help out consumers. So in his idea, self-interest actually helps everybody out. So, what are some examples of the invisible hand working in the economy? Blah, 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 blah. Yes, good answer, guys. Here's a quote from The Wealth of Nations. It's not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest. They're not making the food because you like it, they're doing it to get a profit. So, this is all about incentives. Economics is all about incentives. So, like a real world example would be like, if you start doing price regulation or price controls on butchers and saying you can't charge more than this, they lose their incentives to do it, uh, which is going to make them less likely to pursue this career. Economics does follow the scientific method, social scientific method. It does try to be more quantifiable. So in economics, they do make observations of the world around them. They select an economic question. They identify variables and use constants. They make hypotheses. They make assumptions. They try to test the hypothesis. Uh, and econometrics, they use like advanced mathematical formulas from calculus and statistics. After they have their data, they compare their predictions of the hypothesis with real world outcomes. Out of all the social sciences, economics, psychology are probably some of the more objective, quantifiable ones, although there is wide disagreement in economics based on different schools of thoughts. The two major branches in economics are microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics is the next unit that we'll have. We'll spend most of quarter one on microeconomics. It studies the behavior of individual markets, individual economic agents such as consumers, households, firms like shoe companies, industries, and government, and how they make economic decisions. Macroeconomics, which was really created in the 20th century, studies the economy as a whole, like GDP, inflation, focusing on fundamental goals of an economy: unemployment, steady economic growth, low rates of inflation. And obviously, as we're going through this video, the PowerPoint slides, these terminology should be terms you know that you could define in your own words when we have our quiz. So, questions for y'all. You don't have to answer this, but questions for y'all. What's an example of microeconomics? What's one? Oh, shoe companies like Adidas, Reeboks. Oh, brilliant, brilliant answer. What's an example of macroeconomics? Oh, the measurement of GDP. Oh, yeah, wonderful, wonderful. There's different ways to talk about economics, and you should know these. These are terms that might be on the quiz. The first one is called positive economics. Positive economics are more objective, it's more quantifiable. It focuses on areas of economics that are falsifiable or shown to be correct or incorrect. It deals primarily with logic, empirical data, and drawing conclusions. The conclusions are more scientific in nature and open to refutation based on the assumption that all things remain constant, which is one of the big assumptions of economics, ceteris paribus, which I think we'll talk about in a slide or two. So, a positive economic statement is unemployment is 4.3%. That's a positive economic statement. That's more quantifiable. It's either correct or it's not, or it's incorrect. Normative economic statements are more judgment based, they're value based, they're more like implementing economic policies, and they're more based on your opinion. So they're more based on your personal beliefs. So unemployment is the biggest problem facing the United States. That's a normative economic statement. That is not positive. Positive economic statement, unemployment is 4.4%. Normative unemployment, economic statement, unemployment is a bigger issue than inflation. There is one term you should know. It's ceteris paribus. Here's the term ceteris paribus in a sentence. An increase in the amount of hours spent studying economics will lead ceteris paribus to an increase in the average marks received on an economics test. So ceteris paribus means all things remaining constant. So getting rid of all variables. So getting rid of all variables If you study more, you're going to get more marks or a higher grade on a test. That is true. You always have to assume there's no variables. That's what ceteris paribus is. But Mr. Linegar, what happens if I'm studying and then my house catches on fire and then a monster comes from the ground and he eats my leg? I won't get a higher grade because I'll have no leg. Well, yes, you are correct. That's a great example. That's why we assume ceteris paribus. All things remain constant. We don't think of these hypothetical variables. So there's two major economic assumptions in economic models. The first one is ceteris paribus, and the second one is people are rational and they use their reasoning in making economic decisions. When you take HL, you'll learn a little bit more about that because not everybody agrees with that. But when we look at economic models, you kind of have to assume these two things, ceteris paribus, and that people are making rational thoughts. If they're not making rational thoughts, these economic models really do fall apart. Here's an example of an economic model. You don't need to know this one yet, but it's a supply and demand. The PPC one we did is an economic model. All right. So right now, you're going to go to Schoology. There's a quiz on Schoology that says like economics is a social science. Make sure you keep taking it. You can take it more than once until you get 100. Remember, I'm going to combine all these quizzes together and it will be a grade. So it really should be 100 for you unless you just want to YOLO it. So do that right now. It should take about 5 minutes. It's only like 4 or 5 questions. And then we will continue. We're not done yet. Do not exit the video. All right. So as you're doing the quiz, if you want to, I could sing you some background music. So many things you see it. Man, I'm really bad. But what you knew, the path, the truth about my past impossible. He'll turn away from me. He's holding back, he's hiding from what I cannot see. Why can't he be the one I know? He is the one I see inside. I'm butchering this. I'm making up these words. Can't you feel the love tonight? All right. I'm going to pause the video. Once you're done, restart it, and we're going to continue. All right, guys, welcome back. So the last thing we're going to talk about is the circular flow model. This is the second graph you need to know. This is going to be a graph you'll have to know for the quiz, and it's going to be something that can be tested on the IB exam, just like the PPC. So there's two types of circular flow model. There's a closed circular flow model and an open circular flow model. A closed circular flow model is without international trade. It's a independent country, and it's just like the goods and services consumption in one country, but there's no international trade. There's no leakages or injections. You do need to draw. You will need to know how to draw a closed circular flow and a open circular flow model. So a circular flow model shows the movement, factors of production, and money in an economy. It has different aspects. It has the household, it has the resource market, firms, and product market, and it shows the movement with the arrows of what's happening. So, for example, in a household is going to go to a product market, like a place where they can buy products, and they're going to give money to pay for goods and services. A product market will give goods and services to a household. For a product market, they're going to pay for goods and services to a firm. Firms will provide goods and services to a product market. Firms will pay money for factors of production, so like natural resources, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. And the resource market will provide factors of production. The household, they'll provide factors of production. So like the household will provide labor to a resource market, and the resource market will provide payments for factors of production. You do need to know how to draw this. You do need to know like the arrows and the ways. There's actually different ways to draw this. This is probably one of the more simplistic versions, but it's all right. Here's another one just in case you want to do this. Both of these would be fine if you had to draw this on the quiz. It shows the resource market, households, product market, firms. and it shows like how each one of them impacts each other. You should see like these things do impact each other. And like I said, I'm just like being honest. This is going to be on the quiz. Like this is a graph you do need to memorize. The open circular flow model is pretty similar, but it also includes leakages and injections. So it includes the international market. In the closed circular flow model, it's just one economy in one country. But in open circular flow, you also have economies around the world. So you have money entering the country and money exiting the country. If the money is leaving the country, that is called a leakage or a outflow. If money is entering the country, that's called injection or a inflow. So examples of injections or inflows are exports when countries are buying our goods, investment when there's increase in investment in the country, and government spending. All of that is money coming into the country. Examples of outflows or leakages is taxes, that's money leaving the country, savings, if people are just putting money in the savings account, and imports, when you're buying from a different country. So if you are asked to draw an open circular flow model, you would draw this circular flow model right here, but you would also include this part right here with the leakages and the injections. And just like last time, here's another way to draw the circular flow, an open circular flow, which includes leakages and injections. In the circular flow, here are some of the key terms you should know: taxes, savings, imports, investment, exports, government spending. What I want you to do now, you had a lined piece of paper where you did your warm-up questions. I want you to draw a open circular flow model and a closed circular flow model. So these should be the next two questions you should do. Da-na, na-na, na-na, na-na. All right, pause it. Na-na, na-na. And then once you unpause it, I'll move on. Da-na! All right. All right, guys, moving on. I want you right now to do on Schoology, there's a circular flow model quiz. Remember, on these quizzes, you can redo it more than once. So do it until you get 100%, please. And then pause this video. And once you're done, come back here. All right. The next thing you're going to do right now is there is a real world example news article. It's called Tariff Inflation. You're going to read the article. After you read the article, you are going to go to your notebook. You should already have one real world example article in there. It should be a separate section in your notebook. You're going to label this RWE number 2. I showed you how to draw it and label it last class. You're going to read the article, then you're going to fill out these questions right here: where, when, what, how much, result. You'll have about 10 minutes. Once you're done with that, I mean, I guess you could take longer than 10 minutes if you want, but whatever. That's how much I would give you if we were in class. Once you're done with that, come back to this video. There's like 1 or 2 more things left to do. All right, guys, this is the last thing you're going to do on the lined piece of paper. On the lined piece of paper, we are going to have a little PPC tournament next class where you guys will compete each other to be king and queen of graphing. So yay! The graphing is just going to be PPC, although you do need to know both the PPC and circular flow for the quiz and just for the IB exam. For the tournament, we're just going to do PPC. So these are all right here practice questions. On your lined piece of paper, you're going to do all 6 of these questions. So you've already done warm-up questions on your lined piece of paper. You've already done 2 circular flow questions. And now you're going to draw 6 graphing questions. Make sure to label the axis. Always label the axes. Here are the 6 questions right here. You can pause the video as you do this. I'm going to go to the next slide, so pause it right now when you're doing this. All right, so once you have done the pages and once you have done the questions, you should have 3 warm-up questions, 2 circular flow models, and 6 PPC questions. That is 11 graphs total, so you should have 11 graphs on a lined piece of paper. You are going to turn those into a sub right now, so please turn those into the sub. So that means by the end of class, what you should have done. What should have you gotten done? You should have gotten done those 2 quizzes on Schoology. You should have gotten done the 1 real world example, and you should have gotten done the 11 graphs on the lined piece of paper that you turn into the sub. You also should have written notes over this video, over this PowerPoint. If you are all done here and it's not been 90 minutes, you can read for the next class. We will do a PPC tournament next class where we'll have winners and losers. But we're all winners, guys. We are all winners. But we'll have people that are winnerers. All right, guys. That's all I have for you for today. Hopefully this was helpful. Until next time, deuces, 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 yeah.